Hello again, and welcome back to Lost in Translation. My name is Nico, and this week we are taking a look at the Torah portion of Re and the 10 things that you will miss if you're only reading the Torah portion in English. So let's start with number 1. That and if. Okay, right here, we have to remember that this whole book of Devarim, of Deuteronomy, is Moshe Rabbeinu's final address. It's his final lesson to the nation of Israel that's about to enter the land. He's really been warning them to keep the commandments and telling them the consequences for not doing so and the rewards for doing so. And right now, he says that, look, see, he said, behold, I place before you a blessing and a curse. And this is interesting because here, את הברכה אשר תשמעו אל מצוות השם אלוהיכם אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום. Right? That the blessing is that you will hear it, that you will heed it, hearken to it, as it's translated, right? So the blessing isn't something that happens after you've kept the commandments. The blessing is that you keep the commandments, because we know that's how we maintain connection to Hashem, and that's how, that's how we come closer to Him. Okay, and so that's the blessing. And now we learn again about the consequence of the curse, which is conditional if you will not heed, right? Vehakalala im lo tishmo'u. Okay? Here, the blessing is that you will hear, right? And this one is im lo, if you do not hear. Okay? So, in the event that you do not receive the blessing of hearkening to the commandments, that's when the curse will arrive. All right, number 2. Grasses and weeds. Okay, so immediately after he tells us about the blessing and the curse, he tells us that we have a commandment, or this nation that's about to enter the land has a commandment to write the blessings on Mount Gerizim and the curse upon Mount Ebal, right? And so, as transliterations of these mountain names don't really do us much. But if we look at the Hebrew and we understand the meanings of these names, the symbolism, as usual, becomes much more clear. Gerizim is grasses. Grasses are uniform. So one principle in the grasses, right? They are pleasant to be in, right? And the strength of grass is in its collection, its collectivity. Whereas Ebal are weeds. Weeds grow how they like, where they like. They choke out other life. They rob other plants of nutrients, water, resources, and they don't give anything back. They just keep on throwing seeds and spreading. Well, these weeds are our egotistical desires. If we don't pull them out of this spiritual land quickly, they spread everywhere, they take over, and they destroy the capacity of this unifying principle that's represented by the homogeneous grasses. Okay, number 3, destroy the places. Okay, so we're being told that there's a commandment to keep as you enter the land. The first commandment to keep is to destroy all the places where the nations served their gods, right? Kol hamakamot, right? So we understand that these other nations were serving their gods on mountaintops, hilltops, under trees, all sorts of places, like we do in our lives. We place things in front of Hashem. We place things uh, in uh, in importance it shouldn't be, and it's all over the place, just like the grasses and the weeds, right? We got these places everywhere where our desires are capable of becoming more important to us than that unifying principle of Hashem's love. Number 4, only at the place. So juxtaposed to this is only the place, Hamakom, Asher Ivachar Hashem Lehechem. Right? That you're not going to do this to Hashem, what you're not going to destroy his place? No, that's not what he's talking about. You're not going to have multiple places. Again, we're seeing this theme starting to develop here. There's a oneness in the principle of Hashem versus the multiplicity of idolatry, right? So there's one place where Hashem is worshipped, where sacrifices happen, and that cannot be done anywhere else in the universe. Number 5, causes you to inherit. Okay, here we have it translated, and you shall cross the Jordan and settle in the land, your land the Lord, Hashem, your God, is giving you. Really, just like we saw, maybe if you remember in Shemot, that the wet nurses caused the boys to live. We have this grammatical form in Hebrew where we have a causal verb tense, right? And really, I like it much better than giving you as an inheritance, right? That this he causes you to inherit the land, which reminds us that there's one source of this blessing, of this inheritance. It's all Hashem. He does it all. Despite our feeling of accomplishment, really, it's Hashem is the sole actor in this process, despite our perspective on it, right? And this is important in order to keep us humble and to keep us from being prideful in our attainments, because once pride seeps in, we separate from Hashem, we place ourselves in his spot, right? And make an idol of ourselves. And right away, we lose all the benefit and all the blessings of the spiritual attainment. Okay, number 6, redeemed offerings and unconsecrated meat. So now we have this place in Jerusalem. We know it's Jerusalem because it happened, but Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know. So he's talking about this future place. And it's a place where we and our children and our servants are all supposed to rejoice. And there are certain types of offerings that are meant to be made there. But we have two paragraphs talking about slaughter. Okay, you may slaughter and eat meat in all your cities. Okay, and down here, okay, you may slaughter your cattle and your sheep as your soul may desire. Well, why are there these two different paragraphs? Well, one is very close to the place and talking about the types of sacrifices. And this is basically letting us know that sometimes you consecrate an animal to be sacrificed. And before it can be sacrificed, it develops some sort of blemish that disqualifies it from being sacrificed. Well, it can be redeemed with another animal. And then you have this blemished animal, it can now be slaughtered and eaten as meat, so long as it's been redeemed. Down below, here we're just talking about normal everyday food. Doesn't have to be a consecrated animal. We're talking about what to do in the two situations. So the Torah seems to be repetitive here, but if we understand it in the context and its location to other discussions, we see that really we're being told two different things. Number 7, everything that Hashem hates. Okay, so again, we're being warned not to seek after the other gods that the nations of Canaan were worshiping, right? And because, or we don't even want to know anything about their service because it was all these abominations, these things which he hates, they did to their gods. Well, what is it that he hates? He hates that which takes us away from him. Right? He doesn't hate any of his creation, Um, but in our experience, the further we draw away from him, further away from that unifying principle we get, the more we feel that the universe is against us and that Hashem hates us. But the closer we draw to him, the more everything makes sense, the more we feel his love, right? The more we actually become agents of his love. So this is what we need to understand about what Hashem hates and what he loves. He loves that which draws close to him and wants to be like him. And he hates, he keeps away that which wants to pull away from him. Right? So our egoism, our desires to receive, that's what disqualifies us from being connected to him. And that's how we feel his hatred. Number 8, a treasured people. Okay, again, we're being compared to children of Hashem, and that we shouldn't do the practices of these other nations, of cutting ourselves or shaving ourselves and to mourn the dead. And that ki am kadush atala Hashem alehecha uvarcha b'char Hashem lehiot lo la'am segula mikol ha'amim asher al pnei ha'adama. Okay, you're a holy people. You've been chosen as a treasured people. Segula. Right, well, this is an interesting word because if I get a vav in here, right, then I see that it's connected to the color purple, which is one of the colors that the priests will wear. So we're a priestly nation. That's what makes us treasured, because the priests raise people up. They're Mashiach, right? And segula also can be a remedy or a cure for a disease, right? So what kind of remedy, what kind of cure are we talking about? We're curing egoism. We're curing the the will to receive. Okay, so just like the priests existed to raise up the nation of Israel, just like Moshe Rabbeinu was there to raise us up, so we are supposed to raise up the rest of the world, and in order to achieve the final correction. 9, a destitute person. Okay, here we have it translated as a needy person. That's not so important. What's important here is the order given, right? If a needy person will be among you from your brothers in your cities or in your land. And it's giving us the precise order of who we should be helping first. We should help those closest to us, our brothers, our family, those in our city, our immediate proximity, and those in our land, right? This is the order that we follow for helping people. We're going to look a little bit closer at what that means here shortly. Number 10, the destitute will not cease, right? For there will never cease to be needy within the land. Well, what are we talking about here? Yes, okay, we know about wealth and poverty, and it's true. From one, we don't want to be close-handed because one day we might need help ourselves. And we want a culture that's willing to help each other. That's corporeally. But if we're looking at the spiritual perspective, if we understand what it means to go into the land, to be in spirituality, to be contending with the extreme forces of egoism that exist within spirituality, the ascents and the descents. The descents are a position of need, right? And those who are in ascent can understand their brother's struggles when he's in a descent. And that's how we need to help them. That's the greatest poverty there is our disparity from Hashem, our distance from Him. So those who are closer, those who are in the state of an ascent, should endeavor to help those who are in a descent. That's the real poverty. And that's the poverty that will never cease. We could feed everybody in the world, but we'll still have to deal with this spiritual malaise or to deal with the egoism that exists within spirituality. So, yes, eventually one day there will be the final correction, the Gemar Tikkun, and all that will be resolved. But in the meantime, from our experience, this need does not end. So we always need to be on the lookout to help our brothers and those in our cities and those in the land to come closer to Hashem. All right, I hope that was interesting and helpful. Please share with me your ideas, anything that you find that I've missed. And yes, I invite you to like, share, comment, subscribe. And until next time, be well.